This is London with MarketHedge. Let's pay attention to Bitcoin. Congrats, bam, to anybody who traded yesterday based on that breakout, the hedges, the longs that I put in. If you participated, you're in the money. Now let's talk about technically where we're at in terms of the ascending triangle, which requires a flat top resistance, ascending line of support. You know the standard metric, you know the standard measurement rules. We take that amplitude, we carry it to the upside. The full 100% is going to be 124,000. That midpoint, let's just call it a 50% completion, is going to be at 119,000. We have a hurdle to the left. Pay attention to that preceding. It's an external. Some pivots are included interior. This is an exterior or an external pivot to the left, which could reframe to the extent that the traders will allow it, could reframe the specific current pending pattern into a larger ascending triangle. So to the extent that we do reformulate let's just call it a confirmation along preceding resistance at this level in and along the 113, just mind yourselves that we are formulating one good thing for the bulls, which would be a higher amplitude, right? So instead of this preceding amplitude carry up, we'd actually be dealing with an amplitude that could go a lot further. Let's just pay attention, and it will be variable. This could be difficult because 2 Fridays ago, you guys know we had that deep dig to the downside. We're going to need to compare USD versus USDT and how far we went, and to the extent that this is included in our, let's just say, capture amplitude that we're going to project to the upside. And I will try and take a thorough look to that to the extent that there are actual full metrics, cross exchange, etc. Measuring USDT becomes quite the chore. You guys know that. If you have any information you'd like to share, feel free. Just to understand there may be, let's call it this, there may be a bit of a lack of congruity or lack of just available information that is similar across the various exchanges in terms of how low that Friday push was to the downside on the USDT. So maybe a lack of congruity. So in terms of to the upside, that could push us up into that 130 mark. That is my key metric I'm looking for in the next 7 to 14 days. I'd like to see $130,000 Bitcoin and to remain bullish as long as we keep pushing to higher and higher levels. Let's pay attention to the 4-hourly RSI. We talked about it yesterday. It's a nice area for the bears to come in and short. I discussed that, and I just said, guys, I think it's going to push, and buyers are going to continue to push to the upside. It's exactly what we saw. So we were overbought, and precedingly, we have a good formal or former area here to evaluate that we'd like to replicate in terms of buyers pushing and pushing and pushing, and that just has the effect on price here of quite a run to the upside. See that yellow line there, and the green line you see on the chart is the actual RSI on the chart. So I can toggle that a little bit just to kind of clean things up, but it's really nice to see, and you can actually extract this. If you work with AI at all, you can extract the specific price on the chart from Wilder's formula for RSI. So the upside target, if we're looking at a pattern that is not dealing with that ascending triangle, let's go ahead and remark this in terms of this line to the upside. Would really like to hit this line. And yes, the problem that let's just say the current hurdle that we have would be that preceding pivot to the left. It's just prior consolidation. It would be natural to pause here and to even deflect a bit to the downside. So to the extent that it wants to deflect to the downside, what do we start looking at? We start thinking, well, that would be a nice inverse head and shoulders. Everyone agree? And maybe that resolves at least some of the incongruity we would see or we would have with the lack of uniform data from that big push to the downside. Yeah, maybe this would be the lack of uniform data there. Maybe this would be a great resolution. Is the bulls just saying, fine, we'll give you a small right shoulder, and then bam, we're up and out, at least to give us the full metric here as an alternative and valid pattern to bring into the mix in terms of, guys, your trades and just investments in Bitcoin. Some of you guys don't trade, and you like to hear just purely what's on the map in terms of Bitcoin and what we're looking at strategically as we do trade. So still top line, my favorite, right? To the extent that there's a pullback, we have the ascending triangle. Now we can also fit in there a potential inverse head and shoulders with an additional breakout of that neckline, that white line, and around that 100 and what is that, 115,500, call it 115.5. So in terms of the details, now, you guys know bulls can continue to push. They can give up for a little bit, let the sellers engage, then the bulls can re-engage. Or right now, the sellers could engage and bears are trying to push all the way to oversold again. You guys know that's the 1, 2, 3 of what can happen to RSI. So if you carried up this specific trade from the low RSI, congratulations. And if your screen is green, either from yesterday's trade or from that lower entry along the RSI, I always remind you it's your decision to make in terms of the take for the profit. Yes, this account has done very well. Almost, guys, what we say, 90+% of the trades that I brought on, let's say, live YouTube have done really, really well, right? They've done well enough. Maybe not as heavy as you would like, trying to breed a little bit or spread a little bit of decorum and less full throttle attitude towards the entirety of a real full throttle crowd here in YouTube. I'm right there with you. Accelerated returns, accelerated risk. That's why we trade on BTCC. You guys know that. 500 leverage. I mean, we can't ask for too much more, right? I mean, come on, guys. 500 leverage, we're good. We're good. Hey, all right. Shout out to the guys at BTCC, and we appreciate all the development work we've been able to do with MarketHedge.pro. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to let this go and let this ride. We'll see. To the extent the bulls want to push up, it'd be nice to see that 118, 119, and particularly that upside metric of the top standard deviation. Let's call that on the daily. Let's watch as this continues to either drop or maybe, I don't know, guys, just a dropping target, upside target, I'm not really crazy about. You guys know that, but nonetheless, it is at around 120 right now. We'll take it from the current 115. We'll take that trajectory. The key on the 4-hourly, remember, while our MACD is still looking really good on the daily, you got it right. Gave us a good trade, didn't it? That signal fired, green histogram, and bam, it did pay afterwards. So nice to see that on the daily. We appreciate that level of consistency on any asset that we trade. Looking at the 4-hourly, still positive in terms of the MACD. And you'll notice that one thing I've done here is, over the past several weeks, is really reduce all of your technical indicators into a 1, 2, 3. Right? Let's look at the Bollinger Bands. Let's look at the RSI. Let's look at the MACD. And you'll find that we've been really constructive, really profitable, guys, on this specific account. Just in terms of focusing on those. They're not 100% reliable. You still have to work in your patterns and your other technicals, but it's just nice to really reduce everything down. Sometimes we have so much noise with so many indicators. It's just nice to be able to focus on MACD 4-hourly, histogram, RSI, 4-hourly, for Bitcoin, and looking at the standard deviation band to the upside. This is really going to be the chief challenge if we're going to look at the need for the buyers to sell, to stay over this specific line. So there's a bit of capitulation here, and as soon as, just pay attention, as soon as there's a stall in momentum, it doesn't mean the fight to the upside is over, but it just makes your downside targets more critical. It really does. There are more. There's going to be an increase in let's say, target-led orders that are going to be situated around the 112, right? There are going to be additional bears that have something stronger to look at now that this specific, just call it a super trend over that top line standard deviation, has given just a bit. So it's up to New York. They're about to crank on here in terms of the day. They're getting started in 15 minutes. Let's see what the bulls have. And this is a nice line, that 20 moving average. We know that in terms of order stacking for bulls at the 20, and particularly, of course, if we can get there at that lower standard deviation and around that 109, call it the 112 and the 109 respectively, okay? That 20 moving average and the specific lower standard deviation. I will continue in the trade. It's been a pleasure to talk to you today, and hope you guys made a little bit of cash coming out of the weekend and can get in the starting gates with the right frame of mind. This is London with MarketHedge. Let's go, VIP. Shout out to Luke. Shout out to J-Mac, and shout out to Daniel. Daniel, nice to see your trades. And for the record, aside from this trade, Daniel has you're in the winner's circle here. Way to go, Daniel. Way to be up front. Nice to see your trades today. It's been really nice to watch, and we'll continue to keep an eye on them, guys. It's London. Take care. Let's have a great, fantastic week. This is London with MarketHedge.